Hi viewers, welcome to this video where we dive into the movie externals. Today we will explore the movies, storytelling, summarize the plot and discuss the cast and characters. We will also take a closer look at the film production details and its box office performance. Plus we will share review and reaction to give you a well-rounded perspective. So let's get started. Internals. In the beginning, these littles created the sun and other forms of life, but monster creatures known as Deviants began to run rampant. The leader of this latest ashram brought forth an immortal group of superhumans, known as the internal form of the planet Olympia, and sent them on their ship, the demo, to the earth. The internals awakened with Arashman choosing Ajay to lead them. Ikrash meets series as she sees Earth for the first time and see it beautiful. They are joined by Thana, Kingo, Pestos, Driyuk, Sipri, Makri, and Glishma, imported group of superheroes known as the Internals from the planets Olympia and sent them on the ship, the demo to the Earth. The internals awaken with Arisham choosing Ajak to the lead them. Ikrash meets series as she sees Earth for the first time and see it's beautiful. They are joined by Thana, Kingo, Pathos during Spirit, Makari and Glikmish. The internals arrive in Martophoria in the years 50,000 BC. Deviants attack the humans on the land before the internals start to fight. Thana withers her spear Kango free energy blast for his hand. Makari uses her super speed to attack and speed cars illusions during also manipulates the mind of the inhabitants to try and fight. After finding of the deviants, the internals introduce themselves to the human. Jump to London in the present day where series now live. She goes to class where she is supposed to be giving a lesson and she finds her boyfriend Dana, white man, filling in for her until she arrives. The lecture is interrupted by a large earthquake. Siri has her student forgo cover and use her power to stop a larger object falling off the wall from hurting a student. Cersei later celebrates Dan's birthday with Separate and a few others. She gives Dan a ring from his family history that she has kept from century. While walking on the streets, the three are found by a human ghost, David named Crow. Separate casts an illusion to hide them from it. But the demons is able to spot them and goes after them, even though demons generally attack human and not internals. Series and Separate ready themselves for a fight before Ikras fires in a fire his laser eyes and the beast. Series use her power to turn a runaway bus into Inro's petals. The internal sees that Crow is also able to hear itself before its escape. Series come clean to Dana about her life as internal and what their European has been. He asks her why they never helped during the Great Wars or when Thanos attacked, and she explained that they were injured to never influence in the order of making so as to not hidden their development as a society. Series also tells Dana that and Iraq's were technically together for continue, but things did not work out. She later go back to her apartment to recover with Sephiroth and Ikras, revealing that they need to get a Jake and other internals together to fight Crow. Flashback to 575 BC in Babylon. After an intense battle with some deviants, Ajay from Align to speak with Arishmer. She expressed respect for his grand plan, but appears to have a slight object at his opposition to people of Earth. Arishman tells her not to get attacked from them to follow through with the plan. Ajay goes back to the lair with Patosho is developing a statement engineer to provide for making the internal life among society openly with separate using. Ajay goes back to the lair where Patos is developing a state engine to provide for making the internals life among society openly with separate using powers to internal children with stories that come to life through her illusions. Meanwhile, Ikra's feeling for Ceres have been growing over time. He admits his love to her, wishes they make love outside at night are seen married later during the age of the Gupta Empire. All of the other internals from of them. The three mourner, three fallen later, but when Ceres approached her body, the stone is a dark body that was boosted to her by the Clister attack itself to Siri, meaning Ajak has chosen her as a successor. Siri's beautify catch a glimpse of Arish before she loses sight of him. 5021 AD technology in the midst of the fresh battle. Thana finds himself overcome WYRY, a result of her past memories collapse in on themselves and driving her insane. She attacked her commanders and nearly killed them before they stunned her. Thana awakens with title memory of the incident. All thought Ajay proposed that they go to the demo and use the available reasons to help Thana. Markey argued that they would not really even then after the presents professionally erasing accept of her as they already love her. During question Ajay leadership as he has long before energy that he Ajay decided that since they didn't have been driven out and staying together would be dangerous, they should all split and living in the world among the mortals. Gilgamesh agreed to look after them and make sure she did not hurt herself and anybody else. Present Mumbai, Siri Separate and Iraq travel to find Kingo, now a famed Bollywood superstar who has present to be disowned. Descent for the last few decide to main and acting LNG. His vital Quran know his secret and has been working with him for over 50 years. The three break news of the Jag death to him and the third of the Deviants. Quran encouraged Kango to join his friend on their mission to round up the other and Quran is even more than willing to join them. They travel in the private jet to Australia, where Separate Express at Kango for abandoning her a while back for his new. Anyone at Kango for abandoning her a while back for his new famous lifestyle. In Australia, the team locates Thana and Glishman in their private location. Thana almost has another lapse where she tries to attack her family but Gil is able to talk her down with help for separate. He cooks them dinner before they take the time to mourn a cheek. Later Siri tells Glishman about her newborn as leader and how she cannot figure out how to link herself to speak with the Arish. After relaxing herself, she is able to speak to the great Glistic leader. He tells her that the emergency is happening and he explains the true purpose of internals. They were sent to bring forth the birth of the Celtics demons as new Celtics come about every few millennia and they have done the purpose on the planets before Earth. They come about through intelligent life which had been hurted by attack of the Deviants but with the inventors having gotten rid of them. Arisham says it now time to wipe out all of Earth to make a way for Temple. Ceres is horrified by the relationship. Ceres is horrified by the revelation. After relaxing herself, she is able to speak to the great Celtic leader. He tells her that the emergency is hyping and he explains the true purpose of internals they were sent to bring for the birth of the celestic demons as new celestics come about every few manually and they have done the process on other planets before Earth. They come about through intelligent life which had been hurt by attack of the Deviants but with the elementals have gotten rid of them. Arisham says it now time to wipe out all life on earth to make way for Timot. Series is horrified by the revelation by Arish defines it by saying this is just the cycle of creation for their life forms. He then explained that Olympia never executed and that they she and other internals are just creation for the world. Forgo as artificial being made for use by the clusters. Series cannot remember this because internals have their memories reset after each emergency. To top it all off, Arish created the Deviants to reglow the balance between predicate and pre to intelligent life may purpose, but he lost control of the Deviants. But Arish defines it, saying that it's just a cycle of creation for life. He then explained that Olympia never executed and that she and other internals are just creation for the word forgo as artificial being made for use by the clusters. Series cannot remember this because the internals have their memories reset after each emergency. To top it all off, Arish created the Devils to recruit the balance between presents and grew intelligent life may purpose, but he lost control of the demons and they become predict themselves. He made it so that internals could not evolve to the correct his mistake. Series break the relation to the other. They are stunned by the knowledge of their true purpose, but most of them resolve to find a way to save the people of Earth. They figure they must fight during and see if he may use power of overtake the mind of the Tamu. The internals travel to the Amazon where during is style in village where he has been keeping watch over the people for decide he is not too keen to help the other in their mission as his grown cycles and were over the knowledge of what they were meant to do. At night Kingo tasks to separate and sees that he knows that she is in love with the lyrics but has not been able to act on it due to her childlike appearance. Soon Crow and other devils attack the village. The internals fight them, but Crow overpowers Glembesh and absorbs his energy, gaining the ability to walk on two legs and speak English. After he leaves, they stay by Glish's side as he dies. The other internals mourn him during agree to join the team to horror of kill and knows they need to find Pathos now. Flashback 1945. Just after the dropping of the atomic bomb, Pathos stands among the aftermath of bombing. He wakes up Jake following Remmers for helping humans develop an advanced technology on to continue killing each other. It is here he loses faith in humanity. Present Chico Pesto lives with his husband Ben, and the internals find him at their home. Jack recognizes Ikras from TV for his fight with Crow that was featured on the news. Otos is not willing to abandon his life for the sake of a dangerous mission, but Ben tells him to go through with it if it means that there will be a future for them and Jack together. The internals travel to Iraq where they uncover the demo as well as the Maki having living among the locals. Photos come up with the idea of linking everyone powers together through the Unimind which will allow them to transfer their power so that during May mind control Temu when Kingo tells Iraqs that would follow him to the end. Ikras tells them he is not Congo, thinking he is. 6 days earlier, we see Ajak having gone to visit Iraqs to them. We see Ajak having gone to visit Ikras to tell him about the emergency and how the Avengers having brought everyone back to Earth after Thanos' arrest. The brought about the energy needed for the Deviants to come back. She has since brought to doubt their purpose or thinking they should go with the mission because of how close they have become with the people of Earth. Ikras brings Ajay to location near an icy lake where he has located Deviants. Because he refused to abandon the mission, he throws Ajay to the Deviants. Where Crow goes on the abyss, he energy and gain her power. Ikras file her body to her house where he will later find her will series and separate. Patos send him Makari to locate the source of the emergency, which turns out to be an active violence in the Indian occasions. Ikras go to support their plan as his son reveals Ajak told him about the emergency after they left by Blonde. They release that they kill her and is planning together to with the emergency at whether the course. Separate joins him due to her love for him. Kango ends up leaving them with Kron for fear that he will end up getting him killed. They have to go against Arish. All third series express her doubts. Thanos assured her that she was chosen by Ajak to success her for a reason. Protos then offered to reprogram the stone in series from linking to Arish to linking to all of them from the Uni-Mind. The internals gather by the volcano and begin to battle Ikras. He seemingly kills during and fights the other just before Crow arrive to attack. Thana fights Crow, where he tunes her, nearly absorbs her life force until she slices him to pieces. Separate attempt to take down Sirius, but during emergency and knocks Separate out after they seduce Ikras. The Unimind is activated and Sirius take on the combined powers of the other internals. The elementals gather by the vocals and being to battles Iraqs. He is seemingly killed during and fights the other just before Crow arrive to attack. Thana fights Crow where he turns her nearly and absorbs her life force until she slices him to pieces. Separate attempt to take down series, but during emergency and no separate out. After they subdue Ikras, the Unimind is active and series take on the combined power of the other internals as the Timo being to emergency for the Vulcan. With her power series freeze, demote and cases it not remain as smoke kind of statue. Ikras free himself but he feels great resource of his action and chosen to fly himself directly into the sun. In the afternoon series understands Saprich's frustration with her life, so she used the Unimind to take away separate immortality so that she may live a normal human life. The internal split out once again the then John Macari and during on the demo as they go look for other internals while Patas return to his family. Separate life as a human and Kingo returns to his work, but they all maintains a firm love for one another. Cersei rejoins Dana, who tells her that his family history is more complicated than he realized. Suddenly, Arish appears in the sky and summons Cersei, Kango, and Passards. He tells them that he knows that they failed his plan for the emergency by choosing to spare them for now and he disappears. Meet created Dana Makari and during hours struggling to find the other internals as well as their own friends who have vanished. They are the found by our troll named PP and his employer Eros, brother of Thanos and fellow internals, were promised to help the other in their mission. Post-credit Dana is in his family home staring at the abandoned blind, seeming still he get hold of it before he can make up his mind. An off-screen voice asks Dana if he really feels he is ready. The internals are a team of immortals, superheroes sent by the Celtics leader for nourishment to Earth for the purpose of protection humanity for the Deviants, a breed of alien product that target human in the present day. Leader Ajak is killed by Deviants named Crow that absent her energy. She chooses Ceres as her successor and she joins her former love, Ikras, as well as the youngest internal, separate to round up the other members. Thana, Kingo, During, Makari, Patos, and Gleekmesh. Ceres soon learns the true purpose of the internals. They were created by Arish to help bring for the emergency, with the birth of new selectives after overthinking the intelligence life on other planets. Cersei, as well as most of the other internals, have come to love the people of Earth and refuse to go through with the emergency. However, Ikras has always been set on setting the plan go through, so he had Ajar killed and allowed Crow to observe her energy. Crow also kills Klish before Sapri joins Ikras since she has always been in love with him. The internals find that the spirit of the emergency will be a Volian with their find the internals find that the seat of the emergency will be a volcano where the classic Timo will rise. Patos come up with a plan for Cersei to lead the everyone as part of the Unimind, where she can use the combined power of the internals to stop Timot. They fight Ikras and separate and subdue them long enough for Cersei to use their combined power to freeze Timot. Ikras to overcome with guilt and files himself into the sun. Cersei used the Unimind to take away separate immortality so that she may live a normal life among humans. The internals split up again and Arish appears to some series Kengo and Patos after they divide from his plan but chosen to spray them for now. Thana Makari and During get help for Thanos' brother Eros to help find them and other internals. Meanwhile, series boy Dana Whiteman's White man come across his family sword, ebony blade, and he is asked by known another blade if he feels he is ready to take up the mantle. Internal box office collection are languish day-wise worldwide. Here is the Hollywood movie Internals box office collection, which is a superhero film. The film is directed by Chloé Zhao and produced by Marvel Studio and distributed by Density Studio. Internal star Gemma Chan, Richard Madden, Kumal Nijni, Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Harish Patel, Don Lee, Lauren Ridloff, and Brian Tiari Henry in key roles. Indian net collection 27.43 crore. Worldwide collections 1300 crore. Overseas collections 670 crore. Indian gross collections 32.6 crore. Internal budget 1500 crore approx. Internal variegated. Coming soon. Internal screen out. Internal screen code. India expected. Overseas expected. Worldwide total. Release date 5th November 2021. For more and the latest news about Hollywood box office collections, stay tuned to us. Disclaimer: the box office data are complicated for various sources by our own research. This date can be approximate and Snail does not make any claims about the authenticity of the date. Internal passes 300 million at worldwide box office. Marvel Internals has grossed over the 300 million globally. The latest internally in the Marvel Cinematic Universe features an ensemble cast of Jaman Chan, Richard Madden, Kunal Ninja, Leah Matchers, Brian Tiari, Henry, Laurent Ridloff, Barry Kango, Angelina Jolie, Don Lee, and even features a chemo appearance from Harry Styles. It was directed by Academy Award winning director Chloé Zhao, who film nominated not only won her the Best Directed award, but also won Best Picture at the 93 RD Academy Award. The story is about a group of Earth defenders called Internals, an alien race of beings who came out to protect the Earth over 7,000 years ago. The story is about a group of Earth-defiants called Returns, an alien race of Pekin who come to produce the Earth over 7,000 years ago, protection the world from Deviants, and a new threat called the. Since its 5 November debut, the film was received a divorced review for the critics and has received the lowest Rotten Tomatoes scores of any MCU film. The film has been critiqued for its packing runtime and use of characters while being presents for its themes and vehicles. However, reports lukewarm reception. The film has already surpassed 300 million at the global box office according to Box Office Pro. However, with the film only being out for 2 weeks, it's likely to still earn money at the box office as people continue flock and see the latest MCU film. Domestically, it has earned $123.6 million and it's expected to keep climbing. As of writing as article, it is domestically She's seventh highest grossing film of 2021, surpassing Free Guy, but just She of Number Time to Die. However, where Free Guy came out in August and Number Time to Die came out in October. Internals has only been out 4 to 2 weeks. Internals already saw a high opinion weekend and can earn revenge as it will likely continue to be a covered flocking movie until Spider-Man No Way Home come out. This success is yet another example of Marvel taking obscure source material and tuning into a hit film. In a post-pandemic box office, $300 million is pretty impressive, especially after only 2 weeks, with internals being the 10th to gross over 100 million. Perhaps things are looking positive for the post-pandemic box office. If anything, though, it shows that superhero films are mainstream in the pop culture and will likely not to be going away for a long time, despite where critics may see or the current debut on the cosmetic matters the MCU may get from directors. Money does not lie, and Marvel movies are here to stay, at least for a while longer. Has Marvel Internals been a box office hit? Internals has brought an internally new team of superhero into the MCU, but it did not have the best time with critics when it came earlier this month. Chloé Zhao Epic Cultures hold a 47% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, marketing it as lowest rated Marvel movie on the aggregated set. Yes, even lower than the Thor, The Dark World and Iron Man 2, which is a bit ridiculous. Considering it was the third Marvel movie release within a matter of months, there was concern that the poor word of mouth would affect it at the box office. He has the provide to be the case with Internals now in its the third week of release. Considering it was the third Marvel movie release with a matter of the month, there was concern that the power word of mouth would affect it the box office. Has that proved to be the case with Internals now its third week of release? Let's delve into the numbers to see whether Internals has proven at hit regulars of its reception. As of 15 November, Internals has grossed $190.8 million at the USA box office after a second weekend drop of 62.3%. Similar than Black Widow bigger than Shang-Chi, while it has an overseas tally of $162.6 million. It all adds up to box office haul of $282.4 million, which in terms of Marvel other 2021 release is ahead of Black Widow $264 million and Shang-Chi $257.6 million trials at the same stage in their runs. Black Widow ended up with the $379.6 million worldwide and Shang-Chi grossed $430.5 million. The former box office potential was impacted by its simultaneous release on Disney Plus while Shang-Chi had an XLV cinema run tunally. To surpass both of those totals, all thought he debut it all end up topping Shang-Chi tally by much if you compare internals to 2021 other MCU efforts in decent performance for movie that was critically panned and it a 150 mind epic about brand new characters. However, it runs of the MCU overall, it will end up among the lowest grossing Marvel movie of all time. Internal should surpass Captain America the first Avengers $370.6 million result and has already overtaken the indicated Hulk $265.6 million. But that about it. Hold over the coming week, it looked to surpass both of totals. All thought he debut it L. All thought we debut. It will end up topping Shang-Chi tally by much if you compare internals to 2021 other MCU efforts. It's a decent performance for a movie that was critically panned and it's a 150 mine epic brand new characters. However, it runs of the MCU overall, it will end up among the lowest grossing Marvel movie of all time. Internal should surpass Captain America, the first Avenger $370.6 million result and has already overtaking the Incredible Hulk $265.6 million. But that about it. Assuming that internals enjoy similar holds over the coming week, it looked to surpass both of those totals all thought. We doubt it will end up topping Shang-Chi tally by much. If you compare internals to 2021 other MCU efforts, it's a decent performance for a movie that was critically panned, and it's a 150-minute epic about brand new characters. However, in terms of the MCU overall, it will be among the lowest grossing Marvel movie of all time. Internal should surpass Captain America, the first Avengers $370.6 million result, and has already overtaken the Incredible Hulk $265.6 million. Through 449.3 million gross is likely a spat to fall for the movie until it enjoy a significant boost over the coming weeks. It does not have any other major market to open it, with a release that to China is still up in the air, given that there are still marketplace challenge due to the outgoing pandemic. A result of around $430 million for the internals will be a sole performance. It still likely end up in the top highest grossing movie of the year, but will fall some away $700 million plus total of F9 and No Time to Die. In truth, even a normal year internals would challenge to those. In truth, even in a normal year internals would not challenge those movie given there are the latest out thing. In a much loved franchise, yes, it has the MCU connection, but fans would know there are any coverage characters. Yes, it is generally separate from what come before. There was really a must-see addition to internals for more casual MCQ fans, so it could not will be that performed to wait for its over Destiny Plus release, especially after the poor review. The other challenge facing the movie is that it has yet to confirm a release in China and may not actually to be released in the territory. Well, it would not be a gangster hit, it could have added potential 100 million for more, which would give him. The other challenge facing the movie is that it yet to confirm a release in China and might not actually be released in the territory. While it would not be, it could have added potentially 100 million or more, which could have given internals global result a much healthier look. Black Widow and Chiang-Chai both still haven't received release in China, which does not bode well of internals. It's a challenge. It's a challenge faced by most Hollywood blockbuster in 2021, as the territory has forced on local movie, with the recent exceptions being Dune, Jungle Curing and Number Time to Die. Jungle Curious flopped with $3.3 million debut in China and if internals. It's a challenge forced by most Hollywood blockbuster in 2021, as the territory has focused on local movie, with the recent expectations being Dune, Jungle Curious and Number Time to Die. Jungle Curious flopped with $3.3 million debut in China, and if internals face for release, a similar fate could meet if the movie goes get a release. Looking at the past Hollywood film like Godzilla vs Kong release in the Chinese mainland, they arrive at least 1 week ahead of their North American release. Zai Fuki, a film critic based, Xiao Fuki, a film critic based in Shanghai, told the Global Times, but now that it has been nearly a week since Internal's debut in that market, it can be decided that the film is missing in market there. It's also been suggested that the same sex kiss in the movie between Patos and Ben might affect in release in the China. The movie has already been pulled for release in the like of Saudi Arabia and Qatar after Destiny rightly refused to edit it out. However, the same-sex kiss in Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker did not stop it from being released in China, so Internal's lack of release is likely more just a connection of the trend we have seen this year for USA movie in the territory. Whatever the reason though, it is a significant blow Internal's box office chance if it does not get released. if it does not get released if you combine that with the other factors impacted it, such as the poor review and the recovering marketplace. The box office number to date could not have been a lot worse. It might should like damn it with the fine press, but internal gross over 400 million would be a decent achievement in the circumstance, even if the movie would later trouble the record box. Internal's worldwide box office debut higher than Shang-Chi Black Widow. Eternals beat the worldwide opening weekend total for both Black Widow and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Rings. The latest entry in the MCU has finally hit theaters, which introduce audience to an entirely new superheroes team in a year full of Marvel story on both of the big and small screen. In a pair audience were still warning more and show up the external. With the fact that external was based on rather obscure Marvel comic, the box office potential of the movie was always up in the air. Marvel has managed up to off-screen characters into mainstream heroes with the Iron Man and that with the fact that External was based on theater's obscure Marvel comic, the box office potential of the movie was always up in the air. Marvel had managed to run obscure characters into mainstream heroes with Iron Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, so there was nothing to suggest Externals could not be the next big breakout. However, the external scoring the award Rotten Tomatoes score of any MCU film and the lowest cinema score from audience it began to cast debut over external box office potential. Internal movie future sequel Avengers spin-offs. It seems though External was a hit according to deadlines the film grossed $161.7 million at the worldwide box office, overgrossing the worldwide opening weekend for Black Widow $150 million and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings $128 million. External now has the second biggest worldwide opening weekend of 2021 behind the only F-19 $163 million, and the film performed very well in the South Korea part of Europe and Latin America. Internal domestic weekend box office was $71 million, which is below the opening weekend for Black Widow $80 million. Only F-19 $163 million, and the film performed very well in South Korea, part of Europe and Latin America. External domestic weekend box office was $71 million, which below the opening weekends for Black Widow $80 million and Shang-Chi $75.4 million. The worldwide total is an impressive fact to consider given that Enter was banded in survival continue due to the presence of an openly gay superhero. The worldwide total is an impressive feat to consider given the external was banded in survival continue due to the presence of an openly gay superhero. External domestic opening weekend also make it the fourth highest grossing opening weekend since the COVID-19 pandemic shut down theaters. Plastic and Beyond, Let There Be Crunch, Black Widow and Shang-Chi at the legal of the Ten Rings. This means that the top 4 biggest opening weekend of 2021 are superhero film and all based on Marvel comic, showing the trend of what movie draw audience back out of the theaters. Internal's opening weekend may be the lowest domestic opening. Internal opening weekend may be the lowest domestic opening weekend since Ant-Man $57 million in 2015, but with a $40 million margin of difference during a pandemic that still say a lot for the film. With the only new major release hitting theaters the next week, it is likely internals will hold the one spot for a second week. How much the film will drip will be watched closely though the past Marvel Studio movie released in November, Thor Ragnarok and Doctor Stranger both held well in November due to the holidays, so internals likely could benefit as well. Next, now internals intentionally Rotten Tomatoes scores compared to the rest of the MCI. Past Marvel Studio movie released in the November like Thor, Ragnarok and Doctor Stranger both held well in the November due to the holidays so internal like could be finds as well. Next, how internal Italy Rotten Tomatoes scores compared to the rest of the MCU. Internals did not dazzle at the box office, but Marvel should not be void. Destiny superhero adventure external debut to $71 million at the domestic box office, a tally that would typically be rated a disappointed in the blockbuster Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel movie reveal miss at the box office are 26 movie have opening at number 1 in North America and many recent installment pre-pandemic of course have ultimately killed by $1 billion mark globally with ease. Box office observe and comic box superfans have come to expect the franchise interiors to generate more than 100 million in their opening weekend. Anything less by Marvel tends to be classified as a mistake. In that company external is not quite standing up at the box office that big budget adaptation featuring an ensemble cast of Angelina, Gemma Chan, Salman Haque, Richard Madden and Kit not each one of the worst opening weekend in the MCU, including the pandemic are released Black Widow $80 million plus 60 million on Destiny Plus and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ring $75 million in pandemic times through its assault state. External landed the fourth best launchers behind Venom Let There Be Kenrich $90 million, Black Widow and Shang-Chi so while $71 million may be lackluster compared to other MCU interiors, internals has sold more tickets in 3 days. Many nearly every film released this year made in their interiors thickles runs popular on Variety. It's below Marvel remarkable average for laughing a new series. But we are still in thin air at the top of the theatrical business, said David A. Cross, who ran the movie consulting film franchise entertainment research. The movie is a creative department of the Marvel. Different is good when it keeps is fresh, but it can. It's below Marvel remarkable average for launching a new series, but we are still in there at the top of the theatrical business, says David A. Cross, who run the movie consulting from franchise entertainment research. The movie is a creative department for Marvel different in good when it keeps it fresh, but it can also shake the fan base. Since internals prepared in the same year as three new Marvel interior television series on Destiny Plus, Window Vision, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki in addition to other big screen features fill in Shang-Chi and Black Widow. It would be easy to arbitrate the box office result as a larger sign that audiences are starting to grow tired of things superhero. They're not arguing the comic book fare on the big and small screen alike is more prevalent and even in the case of internal however it does not seem that franchise fighting has come to peg Marvel owns and all for all. Outside of Angelina Jolie, it does not have any big name stars, say Jeff Pock, an analyst with exhibitor relation. It's not like Marvel is taking a dip. They run into a series of heroes that absolutely nobody had heard of. Internal did not fall short of Marvel Topic box office expectation because moviegoers are worn down by pandemic heroes. Rather, it's because the film did not resound the audience in the same way that prior entries the popular series have. Review for internals Review for internals directed by Scar winner Chloé Zhao have been far less authentic than other MCU expectation because moviegoers are worn down by spandex hero. Rather, it's because the film did not resonate with the audience in the same way that prior entries in the popular series have. Review for internals directed by Oscar winner Chloé Zhao have been far less authentic than other MCU titles and it has the unfortunate destination as the first Marvel movie to get a Rotten score on movie aggregation at Rotten Tomatoes. Audience were similarly mixed. It's the only Marvel movie to receive a B. The first thought landed a B plus rating, while the remembering 24 movie have fallen in the A range, giving the lukewarm reception the between its first and second weekend in the theaters will reflect the degree to which word of mouth can affect Marvel at the box office. Typed review could mean the film drops substantially in its the sophomore outing. Shang-Chi did not have an exporting better starman external but the way review Tan Polot and study in the propelling box office revenge to 223 million, the most of any movie this year. It remains to be seen how internals will shake up Shang-Chi and Black Widow, but not sure it will easily rank among the top 10 high-grossing film of 2021. Internal set up the future of Marvel in the post Avengers Endgame World 1 each was Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. Big farewell to Earth Magnesia Hero. A big challenge in Zaho film was getting audience to care about survival who were not as ubiquitous as Spider-Man or Black Panther. That is not problem for Marvel upcoming sales in 2022 and 2023, which features characters who have become household name, included Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder's Black Panther rather forever the Marvel and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Marvel may not have to visit long for its next box office jams. Box office analysts believe Spider-Man No Way Home, which Marvel Studios so produced with Sony Pictures, could be the first pandemic release to cross 100 million in box office debut on 17 December. The third Spider-Man movie to refute the Holden as the web-slang hero looks poising to a commercial debut, especially because trailer for the superhero epic have tasted the Tanzania promise of a multiverse, an alternative reality that allow multiple generations of Spider-Man across to the appear in the same movie. That means past Spider-Way, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Graft, as well as that means past Spider to be Maguire and Agri Garfield, as well as villain like affair Molina, Dr. Octopus and James Fox, Electro. Many appeared alongside Holland even before the pandemic. Shang-Chi and even were considered outside the even Marvel movie who got used to. Shan Robin, the chief analyst at the Box Office Pro, says in reference to caption Marvel, Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home, the last three MCU movies to hit theaters prior to COVID-19. Once we get to Doctor Strange, Thor and Black Panther, those are heaven hitters. Or as Poke puts in Marvel, upcoming Slash has characters as well known as Love Dearly, Thor film will be just fine. Director Chloé Zhao applicated her destination achievement impact to internals, but she can only do so much to behind the Marvel Cinematic Universe to her well. The result is a blockbuster of universal gentle beauty that also staring to fulfill the argument requirement of massive action spectacle. It is in short a bit of a massive. It is also, and I cannot stress this enough, 2 hours and 37 minutes long, and yet because the talented electric cast is so enormous and so much world building, much oxide internal ultimately feels refreshed and unfishy. The mythology here is the both defined and frequently skilled, with the movie getting to the heart around it the 1 hour mark for. The mythology here is the both defined and frequently silly, will the movie gently to a halt around the 1 hour mark for the and instinctive information dump. By the end you may still a launcher as well what's going on, but you also may not care. Zaho, the newly minded Academy Award winner for Best Pictures and directed for The Spare and The Intimate Northland, does offer a great deal of her singular style, though those of you who found the choice of Zaho and faking one wonders what her version of the MCU might look like. You will be happy to learn she managed to find magic whether she goes from a breezy sunset on the shoes on against power to tomatoes. From a breezy sunset on the shoes of Babylon to Omnia storm cloud gathering on the plants of present-day South Tacto, working with cinematography. Ben Davis will also shoot Doctor Strangers and Captain Marvel the constantly providing opportunity to let us slow down, take a breath and enjoy a moment of naturally and silence. You can feel the sunback heat of the window. Australia outback, an action scene set in a touch heat forest at night is especially stunning. Unfortunately, they did not last long because there is a big, nosy comic book beat to feed. Zhao and her fellow screenwriter Patting and Ryan Frupa and Larcher around in the time in uniquely fashion to tell the story of a group of immortal beings living secretly on Earth. Each has his or her own specific ability, but collective they share the quippy humor that becomes so typically in Marvel movie. The casting and cinematography on display here are and at first cause for inspire that we might be and for something totally different. There are naturally diversity at work in ways we did not see from the Avengers, for example, for the leadership of Salman Hayek Ajik and Jamna Chase series, Britain Henry and Hansa Seliman as a gay couple with a young son to Laurent Redloff, whose hearing impairment is per superpower. The inclusive nature of the external feels both executed and perhaps most striking of all, two characters have actually sex, which is unscripted and long overloaded in cinematic world where everyone is super hot and muscular desert in format fitting costume. This scene is brief but is accomplishing so much to indicate a deeper and more valuable scene of humanity in these comic book figures. Tony Stark and Popper Potts probably did it. Clint Barton definitely did because he had kids more. Clint Barton definitely did because he had kids, but most other romantic relationships have features behind flirting at most. So to see these characters behaving like grown people in this manner is yet another example of the potential luxury within external. There is also a plot, however, which will escape your mind as quickly as it instant. Briefly, the internals have scattered across to the global in the centuries since they arrived on the earth in a spaceship that remember a beamount black marble. All along they have been slankly guiding humanity and fighting resistance. Senvi monster known as Deviants but a protocol. Even force them to live the comfortable lives they have forgotten for themselves. Resemble, if you will forgive the word choosing and use their coming superhero to stop what is instantly the apologize again. You did not need to be deeply spat in Marvel, Laura in Journal or Jack Kirby trippy comic series specially to follow internal aside from a brief reference to Thanos and why these heroes did not step in to stop the events of Avengers in Infinity War. This feels more like a standalone film than most in the MCU. Having said that, of course, you will get more out of the movie if you are a fan, and the obligated and credit sequence will mean more to you too. Director Chao Zhao applies her distinctive, authentic imprint to internals, but she can only do much to bend the Marvel Cinematic Universe to her will of unusual gentle beauty that also straining to fulfill the grand tone requirements of a massive action spectacle. It is in short a bit of a mess. It is also, and I cannot stress this enough, 2 hours and 37 minutes long, and yet because the talented electric cast is so in coverage and so much world building must occur, internals ultimately feels rushed and unsatisfies. The mythology here is both defined and frequency silly, with the movie grand to a halt around to 1 hour mark 4 an extensive information dump. By the end you will stay be unclear as what going on, but you also may not care. Zaho, the newly minted Academy Award winner for Best Picture and Director for the Spare and Intimate Nomi Land, does offer a great deal of her signature style Though for those of you who found the choice of Zaho a fascinating one and wonder what her version of the MCU might look like, you will be happy to learn she managed to find magic hole whenever she goes, from a breezy sunset on the shores of incipient Babylon from a breezy sunset on the shores of incipient Babylon to ominous storm clouds gathering on the planning of present-day South Dasco, working with cinematography Ben Davis, who also shoot Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Stranger and Captain Marvel. She constantly provides operations to let us slow down. Take a breath and enjoy a moment of nourishment and stillness. You can feel the sun-baked heat of the window Australian outback. An action scene set in a torchlit forest at night is especially stunning. Unfortunately, they not last long because there is a big nosy comic book best to feed. Zaho and her fellow screenwriters Prince lurch around in time in an ugly fashion to tell the story of a group of immortal beings lying secretly on Earth. Each has his or her own specific ability bout. Collective they share the quality humor that becomes so typically in Marvel movie. The casting and characters on display here and revelations and at first cause for inspiring that we might be in for something totally different. There is a natural directive at work in ways we have not seen from the Avengers, for example, from the leadership of Salman Hayek, Ajay and Jaman Chan, Cyril to Brian Triari Henry and Hen Saliman as a gay couple with a young son to Laurent Redloff, Makari Wu's herring. Impacting is her superpower. The included natures of internals feels both exciting and effortless. Angelina Jolie, there is a fashions warriors who also suffer from mental illness, which the film handles sensitivity and reagents forever young spirit. Perhaps most tricks of all, two characters have actual sex, which is underpresent and long overdue in a cinematic world where everyone is super hot and muscular and dressed in form-fitting costumes. The scene is brief, but it accomplishes so much to indicate a deeper and more valuable sense of humanity in these comic book figures. Tony Stark and Prepare Potas. Klein Burton definitely did because he had kids, but most other romantic relationships have features being flirty at most. So to see it these characters behind like ground people in this manner is yet another example of the potential lurking within external. There is also a plot, however, which will escape your mind as quickly as it entered. Prefy the internals have scattered across the globe in the countries since they arrived on Earth is a spaceship that remembers a B-month black marble riot all along. Have there been satellite guidelines, humanity and fighting reviews, Seinway monster known as a Deviants but are politely. Cataclysmic even forces them to leave the comfortable lives they have for themselves. Resemble, if you will, forget the virtues and use their combined superpowers to stop what is instantly the apologize. Again, you don't need to be deeply steeped in Marvel lore in journal or Jack Kirby's strip comics trees, especially to follow externals ahead from a brief reference to Thanos and why these heroes did not step into the events of Avengers Infinity War. This feels more like a stand-alone film that's most in the MCU. Having said that, of course you will get more out of the movie if you are fan and the obligator and credit sequence will mean more to you too. Chen series with her terminal ability and Richard Madden, Ikras Verdia, Superman type figures prominently as cultures old and off again lovers. Christmas as a Madden is though then enjoy greater spark with Kit Hiriani Goten as her moral London based boyfriend Dana interest in archaeology Whatever emotional stakes may exist between any of these characters evenly take a black seat to flying around and zipping monster with eye laser. You can feel the struggle in trying to jungle it all, and the climatic action extravagance is so glossy and Coco Pons. It could have been plucked out of any number of soulless SCI spatulas over the past decided, smoothing all the smaller charm we have enjoyed along the way. Our newly buff Kumali Nanji offers some laughes. A pomos Bollywood star Dolin provides a kindly presence. Deposit his hulking power, and Barry Cohen madly has to show up to make us feel his unevening vibe. All of these actors provide they are up for the challenges of trying to establish complex characters within the frizzy of the MCU. Frustratingly, they and Zhao can only serve as cogs only in theaters on 5th November. With the communicated to real locations and imagery not rented to the artificial trial state as much lush jungles, water cresting over gentle rocks, nets speaking laugh, understood hand, a reflection of the sensibility director and co-writer Chloé Zhao develop in film like The Evocation, The Rider and For Less Evocation, Non-Land. External, the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, has been posed as her powerhouse, meant to push this like talented universe further than ever before into our realm when an actual visual stuck and the characters played by the like of Angelina Jolie and Salman Hayek seem soulful rather than like the action figures with scant integrity beyond what the narrative need to push a story along. But for all its bluster and its waste of time, external feels, it was supposed to be different was it with the its commercial to real location and imagery not rendered to the artificial. Trailer tastes as much lush jungle, water creating over journal logs, sunset peeking through our stand hands, a reflection of the sensibility director and co-writer Chaluzao developed in film like The Evocation, The Writer and For Less Evocation Non-Land. External, the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematography universe has been poised as her powerhouse, meant to push his sleek, talented universe features than ever before into a realm where an author's William Stux and the characters played by the like of Angelina Jolie and Salman Hayek seem soulful rather unlike the action figures which can't entirely beyond what the narrative need to push. Action figure which can't internally beyond what the narrative need to push a story along. But for all its bluster and its witness of time, external feels strangely victim sealed. Spanning 7,000 years of human history, the film follows an immortal superhero group for a faraway plant ask a day with the shipping humanity development and feeding of the big bats. The Deviants, a group of colorful CGI monsters that look like countless other colorful CGI monsters with a variety of matter, manipulating energy, harness weapons, transmit the ability a check. Criminal understand Hyok is the blast for the group, a mental front of super leading them through all these centuries. She joined by series the Ever Group's German Chan, eternally late and a bit of phone edit, who in scenes with her former romantic partner of 50,000 years Iraq's is all client Joe and Ron Gaza the Jaw. Thana Jolia forever deserving better is a warrior who physically struggle with the weight of the thousand of years of memories curdling in her brain. Could have tasted out some talented immediately, but the film does not spend the time to really dig in to this relationship or any other between its 10 or so many characters. These are battles in atmosphere and Babylon and trips to the thrilling expanse of outer space. There are deeply cinematography, and short Bollywood dance number introducing Komal Ninja superpower movie star Kingo. But as the film grew more convoluted with reference to Celestic and Avengers and even some DC characters, if you can believe it, the actress struggled to bring the word veneers necessary for us to care about. You would think this and immorality give how effective and charismatic they have been elsewhere, but even the best actor among them seems to strain to find a way to stand out and add the touching phobia that make a superhero character's memorable. Perhaps most notable and deposit stunts effort the comedy in the film does not suit any cast member. Destiny talented is a remember that asking weirdly different actor to do the same thing. Deploy to the count of irrelevant banster the some defined MCU dialogues only survive or flatten the franchise. Sportly expensive word, Zaho has neither the defensive nor the interesting in the elevating this home Korea speaking style, but the reliance on quippy humor speak more to low Marvel and its spelling, misunderstanding the Allah of star in the first place. Here they are interchangeable. The custody disable comedy pressure of Ninjani, Kran's toward and angeled glamour of Jolie until there almost no distinction between them. Makari Marvel first Steve characters has some spunk when she give anything to do, but it not enough to destiny for the banality around her. The grand external story littered with MCU plot holes that get carelessly prepares of as more and more heroes and villains make themselves know where how they been, and the most powerful figures in MCU know original remains absent does not help to ground the stars or dialogues in their comic book. In convention with her little scene moral boyfriend, Dana Whiteman series explain why the external did not help in. Here they are interchangeable, the custody disable comedy pressure of Ninja Ani crans toward the angel glamour of Jolia until there are almost no distinction between them. Makari Marvel first Steve character has some spunk when she gives anything to do, but it not enough to destine for the banality around her. The grand internal story littered with the MCU plot holes that get carelessly papers over as more and more heroes and villains make themselves know where have they been, and the most powerful figures in MCU know arrays remain absent does not help to around the star or dialogues in their comic backdrop. In a conversation with her little scene moral boyfriend, Dana Whiteman series explain why the external did not help in all over the wars, especially when Dana Whiteman series explain why the external did not help in all over the wars, especially when Thanos snapped Hall of Humanity out of extensive. We were told not unless the events were influed. She says with the same level silk tone change used no matter the tension or step of our scenes. Not less we get a shot of Patos, played by Braintree Henry in 1945 Hirosh, crying about adding the technology development that led to genetically result. Yes, you read that right. Dana comic credits might not is the area of the Black Canal, but she unfortunately factored very little into this narrative. That he nonplussed by his girlfriend's status as an ancient alien will gives you a sense of how he functions in the plot. That does not stop him from getting his own and created scene. For all the talk about external standing on its own, Marvel still can't help but artist out. This does not stop from the getting on lead credit scenes. For all the talk about external standing outs in on, Marvel still can't help but taste upcoming prepare endless foreplay with the climax. Endless foreplay without climax. This is how Marvel has shaped audience to always be eager to about what you are currently watching But the next thing, a star is a powerful tool in a director arsenal, the bright, rich, complicated history that can be subverted, played with, even allowed to in film. They can bend it light, move their bodies in that expectation way, but if they are not used properly, they become nothing more than marketing tools. Zaho and cinematography being Davis camera understand that the actors are beautiful but in a clinical way, the way you might admire a particularly lush red nose in a photographic, given that the script does not treat the actor as Rose in a photography, given that the script does not treat the actor as individual but rather as a vehicle for blank jokes and exposing, one might true to the action sequence to glean any idea of who those people are. But in the first major set pieces, the camera is static, lacking a cushion to make the Punches river beat, there are mean touch. They has a plastic purity that would be more entirely of CGI did not render her body whiteless, but rather the external are fighting in the desert or halting touch space. No one character is permitted to start out or evoke away. A sex scene between Siri and Ikras fear no better, filmed from the sheet up, castly forcing on their faces it 10 seconds of loving mystery. Know exactly the sort of groundbreaking sensitivity these films are in. Despair no need for all its communicated the magic horde. Sunlight the film. A sex scene between Cersei and Icarus fares no better, filmed for the cheaps up chesty forcing on their faces. It's 10 seconds of loving mystery, not exactly the sort of groundbreaking sensitivity these films are in depart need of. For all its community to magic horror, sunlight the film quite aggregate the beautiful fail the requirement MCU love story once again Marvel has instable and an undeniable gorgeous array of actors only to have the sexual chemistry between them to be slime non-existent. Of course, a franchise obsessed with deities and aliens continue to form able of the greatest pleasures of being a human being. External is beyond alone by question about the worth of humanity. Why do these superpowered aliens create at all about humans beyond the fact that sure Patos has a husband and a young kid? External is beyond along by question about the worth of humanity. Why do these superpowered aliens care at all about humans beyond the fact that they were told to? Sure, Patos has a husband and a young kid, but what about the rest? What drives them beyond a murky desert to do the right thing? Their struggle to during Barry Keoghan, slim portion of the story. He cannot control people minds and has been doing so with intelligent flock in the Amazon for gentle. It's a queasy stuffing is a queasy suffering is off screen before we spend too long graphing with what is might means. Marvel has grown so powerful in the part because of how it treats diversity and identity as a checklist. The external characters indeed range in ability, race, and sexuality, but what does it matter to have, say, a gay kiss on screen when there are no heat behind it? What does it matter if the women are of various hue? What does it matter if the women are of various hues and ages if you don't care about their internally? With external Marvel prove itself to be nothing more than a state lumbering black hole. But the point in pulling in the Hollywood star if you just going to obey them? Julia is one of the most franchise complicated and high profile celebrity to have ever existed. Her history can't help but shape a film, a franchise even. Her physically can't help but bring diamonds to an action scene. She can't help but make a movie her movie and yet deposit the heart of external it marked by impotence in the end. External is nobody film. Marvel Eternal has grossed over $300 million globally. The latest entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe features an ensemble cast of Gemma, Richard Madden, Kumal Nija, Reed Love, Barry Cohen, Angelina Jolie, Don Lee, and even features a cameo appearance from Harry Styles. It was directed by Academy Award winner director Chloé Zhao, who film nominated not only won her the Best Director award but also won Best Pictures at the 93 Art Academy Award. The story is about a ground of Earth, definitely called external and alien race of being who came to protect the Earth over 7,000 years ago. Protection differed from the story is about a group of Earth definites called externals, an alien race of being who came to protect the Earth over 7,000 years ago, protecting the world from Deviants and a new threat called the Emergency. Since its 5 November debut, the film has received mild review from critics, mediocre review from critics, and has received the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score of any MCU film. The film has been criticized for its piercing runtime and use of characters while being praised for its themselves and vehicles. However, deposit lukewarm reception, the film has already surpassed 300 million at the global box office according to Box Office Pro. However, with the film only being out 2 weeks, it's likely to still want money at the box office as people continue to flock and see the latest MCU film. Domestically, it has earned $123.6 million and it's expected to keep climbing. As of writing the article, it is domestically the seventh highest grossing film of 2021, surpassing Free Guy but just shy of Number Time to Die. However, where Free Guy came out in August and Number Time to Die came out in October, External has only been out for 2 weeks. External already saw a high opinion weekend and can earn revenge. It will be likely continue to be a covered flocking movie until Spider-Man No Way Home come out on 17 December. This success is another example of Marvel taking obscure scores, smarter and tuning into a hit film. In a post-pandemic box office, 300 million is pretty impressive. In a post-pandemic box office, 300 million is pretty impressive, especially after only 2 weeks. With external beings the 10th to gross over 100 million, perhaps things are looking positive for the post-pandemic box office. If anything, though, it shows that superhero films are a ministry in pop culture and will likely not be going away from a long time. Deposit what critics may say or the current debut on the cinematography Martins the MCU may get from directors. Money does not lie, and Marvel movies are here to stay at least for a while longer. External worldwide box office debut higher than Shang-Chi Black Widow. External beat the worldwide opening weekend totals for both Black Widow and Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Rings, the latest entry in the MCU, and finally hit theaters which introduce. External beat the worldwide opening weekend totals for both Black Widow and Shang-Chi and The Legends of the Ten Rings. The latest entry in the MCU has finally hit theaters, which introduced audience to an internally new superhero team in a year full of Marvel story on both the big and small screen. It appearance audience will still wanting more and showing up for external. With the fact an external was based on a rather observed Marvel comic, the box office potential of the movie was always up in the air. Marvel has managed to turn off-screen characters into mainstream heroes with the Iron Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, so there was nothing to suggest external. With the fact that external was based on a rather obscure Marvel comic, the box office potential of the movie was always up in the air. Marvel and managed to run obscure characters into mainstream heroes with Iron Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, so there was nothing to suggest external could not be the next big breed. However, with external soaring to the worst Rotten Tomatoes score of any MCU film and the lower cinematography from audience, it began to cast about over external box office potential. It seemed though external was a hit according to Deadline The film grossed $161.7 million at the worldwide box office, outgrossing the worldwide opening weekend for Black Widow $150 million and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings $128 million. External now has the second biggest worldwide opening weekend of 2021, behind only F-19 $163 million, and the film performed very well in South Korea, part of Europe and Latin America. External domestic weekend box office was $71 million, which is below the opening weekends for the Black Widow, $800 million. And the film performed very well in the South Korea part of Europe and Latin America. External domestic weekend box office was $71 million, which is below the opening weekend for Black Widow $80 million and Shang-Chi $75.4 million. The worldwide total is an impressive feat to consider given the external wars bandit in survival continue due to the presence of an openly gay superhero. The worldwide total is an impressive feat no consider given the external wars bandit in survival continue due to presence of an openly gay due to the presence of an openly gay superhero. External's domestic opening weekend also make it the fourth highest grossing opening weekend since the COVID-19 pandemic shut down theaters, playing it behind Vienna, Let There Be Krang, Black Widow, and Shang-Chi, and The Legend of the Ten Rings. This means that the top over biggest opening weekend of 2021 are superhero film and all based on Marvel comics, showing the trend of what movie draw audience back out the theaters. External opening weekend may be the lowest domestic opening. External opening weekend may be the lowest domestic opening weekend since Ant-Man $57 million in 2015, but with a $14 million margin of difference during a pandemic that still says a lot for the film. With the only new major release hitting theaters this next week, it is like external will hold the one spot for a second week. How much the film will dip will be watched closely. Though past the Marvel Studio movie release in November like Thor, Rangers and Doctor Strangers both held well in November due to the holidays, so external likely could benefits as well. Next, how external entirely Rotten Tomatoes score captures to the rest of the MCI. Watches closely Thor past Marvel Studio movie release in November like Thor, Rangers and Doctor Strangers both held well in November due to the holidays, so external likely could benefits as well. How external entirely Rotten Tomatoes score compared to the rest of the MCU scores deadlines. Marvel Studio External ends on a massive challenger that leaves the fate of many characters up in the air, and there are what it means. Editor 9 November 2021. Marvel latest project External dropped on Thursday 5 November, and I could honestly say it is a great film but not the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. External talk the story of immortal gods that are sent for Olympia by the Celestials to protect humans on Earth from the Deviants. The film stars Salma Hayek as Ajak, Angelina Jolie as Thena, Lauren Redloof as Makari Richards, Madden as Ikras, as Dana Whiteman. When the externals being to deposit with the another in the second half of the movie, it take an unexpected turn. Ajay has the power of heal and is the leader of these immortal superhumans. She is the only with the ability to continue with the creators of the universe, galaxy, but rarely appears in the film. When the externals being to deposit with the another in the second half of the movie, it take an unexpected turn. Ajay has power to heal and is the leader of these immortal superhumans with the ability to communicate with the characters of the universe, but rarely appears in the film. The film tends to go back and forth past and present even to help the audience understand why they never appearance in other Marvel films till now. The alternative sequences are a bit confusing, and as a movie ethers, I thought it would work best if it were chronological order. However, because this is a Marvel film, they know how to get the audience attention. My two favorite external would happen to be Makari, who is a spider in the film and during, who has the power to manipulate minds. Ceres has the power of atomic manipulations and thought her power was too dull. Dinah Whitman is a human in this film and is more of a supporting role, but in the comic in the role. My two favorite externals would happen to be Makari, who is a spinster in the film, and Turing, who has the power to manipulate minds. Cersei has the power of atomic manipulations and thought her power was too dull. Dinah Whiteman is a human in this film and is more of a supporting role, but in the comic is known as the Black Knight. As a MCU fan, it would be interesting to see what they do with these characters in the features. External has two post-credit scenes. One of the scenes where is the Thanos' younger brother Ara, known as the Fakes, made an appearance. Eros is protected by hairstyle and I personally thought it was really random to have costed style. There were too many things happen in the film. Would rate in 8 over 10 but we are watching external more than once would help me keep up. External review one of Marvel most movies so far. Just out of Infinity War, so Marvel External, winning the Best Director Oscar of nominated Chloé Zhao and Unpatched, one of the MCU roast movie in ages. And to what ends, External, which will now debut, become a John Favreau punchline in a future Avengers film need not exist in a universe that already counts the Fantastic Four and X-Men among its franchise. Movie review external is an ambition something beautiful. The Marvel Cinematic Universe news the external remind me of an intricate tapestry that been woven from beautiful individual threads and crafted with obsessed love and care that somehow result is an product that feel lacking. External is a bold, ambitious film unlike anything we see in the MCU before. It directed by Oscar winner Chloé Zhao and features some of the most beautiful cinematography in the MCU. With an all-star cast and some superhero plot twist, all factors that should have made this movie an easy human. However, external tries to tackle to each in a runtime that feels both too long and short and it's far to achieve. External tries to tackle to match in the runtime that feels both too long and too short and it fails to achieve all the goals it aims for. All that being said, I don't want to sound overly negative in this review because there actually is some genuinely amazing stuff in external that has me very excited for future storytelling in the MCU. I will get to more on this later, but I am also thankful the MCU willingness to take more risk when it comes to tone and style. Even if these risks don't always pay off, the franchise will grow style if more projects like external are not allowed to be made. Before discussing the film problem, I want to start off with the what I liked. As I mentioned before, the cinematography in this movie is absolutely gorgeous. Appearance Zahu request to the film on location rather than replying on a green screen, and that realism definitely show this movie is breaking to look at especially on an IMAX screen. My favorite of the external characters for Jia Chen series can gives a lovely quiet performance as a compassionate leader who rebels against the mission the external have been giving by the soliciting after she realized what the convents of what mission will be. Spoiler ahead, did not see the film big twist coming that a new plastic will soon be born in the center of Earth and that the emergency of this plastic will kill all life on the planet. This incubated classical has been feeding off the energy from the growth of humanity. With the external were supposed to be encouraged now, external are just supposed to be step back and allow the plant to be destroyed and Cersei. who fallen in love with the people of Earth deposit their flaws cannot bear to let that happen. My favorite scene in this movie was watching Cersei stop the emergency. The Celestic this film does are great. My favorite scene in this movie was watching Cersei stop to emergency of the classical. This film does a great job showing the scope and scale of what the slapstick are capable. Thorne's power plan in compare. Watching the classical Arish appear in the sky at the end of the film was truly terrifying as you realize what massive being the classical are. My other favorite character was Kumal Ninja as Kingo, who was thoroughly charming and hilarious. Kingo is an external who been massive as a Bollywood star and he bring his assistant Quran alone on the external mission to film a documentary about the experience. The other external are not exactly thrilled. Overall, I really like pretty much all the new characters introduced in this film. Unfortunately, there are simply too many characters and most are giving the depth they deserve. Salma Hayek as Nike amount of creative as the leader. Overall, I really like pretty much all the new characters introduced in the movie. Unfortunately, these simply too many characters and most are not giving the depth they deserve. Salma Hayek has a nice amount of creative as the leader of the external Ajak, but we don't get to see enough about how the people of Earth change her heart and inspire her to defy a regime. Similarly, I like the concept of Ikra's turn to the dark side and Richard Madden looks suitable style in the role. However, the script does not give him enough character development to make that moment of betrayal feel earned. The film left way more details about his romantic relationship with Cersei, and while I am excited to see Kit Harington appearance again in MCU project as Black King's his relationship with Cersei also felt a little forced. Angelina Jolie is a badass fight as Thena, but the film does not provide much depth to her inner struggle or her friendship with Glishman. Angelina Jolie is a badass fighter as a Thana, but the film does not provide much depth to her inner struggle or her friendship with Glishman, who was killed off too soon. Pato's creator's technology marvels but needed way more screen time. His movement grieving the directive power of humanity needed more room to breathe. All thought spirit lie. Crashing on Icarus was an interesting idea. Plotline could have been handled in a way that felt less forced in the narrative. Finally, Laurent Redlouf and Barry Cohen have some fun dramatic chemistry as the mind controlling during and the superhuman spider Macari, but they too needed more time. Also, since I enjoy both Marvel and DC movie, I don't like the Davo in the argument about which franchise is better to try to constantly compare the two. Yet, as I was watching External, I could not shake a scene that certain characters remind me too much of. Also, since I enjoy both Marvel and DC movie, I don't like to delve into argument about which franchise is better or try to constantly compare the two. Yet, as I was watching External, I could not shake a scenes that certain characters remind me too much of DC characters. Ikras is Superman, Thana is Wonder Woman, Makari is Flash, etc. By the end of the movie, I realized that if given a choice between watching Zaka Sander cut of Julia Laggy and External, I did pick the Sander cut. That film does a better job living up to its grand premise and giving up leisured characters with heart. Internals introduce some franchise, external introduce some fascinating themes, and then does not enough with them. One of the story's supersedes is that the external are actually robots who have been researched many times to assist with countless emergencies. So in the end, are they are just computer program? Do they have souls? Why do they choose to rebel against the celebrities now? External introduce some fetching stamps and then does not enough with them. One of the story's supersedes is that the externals are actually robots who have been researched many times of to assist with countless emergency. So in the end, they are just computer program. Do they have soul? Why do they choose to robot against the classical now? Why is the Earth more worthy of saving than the other planets that did? Have the external tried to rabbit before? Is the death of an external actually a death, or can they just be thrown back as a new copy? Also, what are the authentic of an immortal being like an external having a relationship with a mortal human, especially if that mortal human is not told about the fact that the external don't go old and die. It is fair for Cersei to date Dana, or for Patas to marry Ban and have a child with him when Ban and child are going to grow old and die. Did Patos consider having Cersei turn hair mortal? Also, what the authentic of an immortal being like an external have a relationship with a mortal human, especially if that mortal human is not told about the fact that the external don't go old and die. It is fair for Cersei to date Dana or for Patas to marry Ben and have a child while him. When Ben and the child are going to go, did Ben consent to this? Did Patos consider having Cersei turn him moral as she did for Spirit? A movie does not always have to answer every single question it raises, especially is Cyrillian story like the MCU, where you have to sow the seeds for concepts that will be explored later. However, too many unanswered questions are likely tiny holes in the bottom of a ship, and soon that ship starts to stuck. I hate being hard on this movie because it was actually my most anticipated MCU project in. Perhaps 4.1 was inspired by the promise and the cast of characters. Even though this movie did not fulfill hopes I had for it, I still not said that. I hate being hard on this movie because it was actually my most anticipated MCU project in pieces. 4.1 was injured by the premise and the cast of characters, and even though this movie did not fulfill the hopes I had for it, I am still not sad that this movie was made. Yes, this movie is flawed, but it dared to bring some things new to the MCU, and I hope that the so what Lakshman super reasons criticized does not discourage Kilan Kavi from Greenland projects like this in the futures and from lettering discovered like Chalo Zhao more creative freedom. The movie has received a lot of negative praises for being written on Rotten Tomatoes, and while some of the criticism is fair, the current rating of 80% does not reflect the nonsense with which this movie deserves to be discussed. It's trying to do a lot and say a lot, and it is worthy of in-depth elevation. I don't know that I see it again in the theaters, but I do want the Richards it on Destiny Plus. Maybe I will like it more. Or maybe I want Ethan V. External is worthy. This movie has received a lot of negative praises for being Rotten or Rotten Tomatoes, and while some of the criticism is fair, the current rating of 48% does not reflect the nonsense with which this movie deserves to be discussed. It's trying to do a lot and say a lot, and it is worthy of in-depth elevation. I don't know that I will say it again in the theater, but I do want to read it on Destiny Plus. Maybe I will like it more, or maybe I won't. Either way, External is a worthy experiment, and I hope to see more projects like it. Jellyfinger that leaves the fate of many characters up in the air, and here what it means for the Marvel Cinematic Universe features. Directed by Chloé Zhao, External is the third film to arrive in Phase 4. Leave the fate of many characters up in the air, and hear what it means for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Features directed by Chloé Zhao, External is the third film to arrive in Patos 4 and the most ambitious of the bunch for so far. The movie focuses on 10 superhumans being created by solicited known as the Externals, with the Cersei taking the main roles in the story after showing the External arrive on Earth over 7,000 years ago. The story builds domestically to Externals. Jellyfinger ends. The main story of Externals follows the team reporting in the presents. The main story of External follows the team reporting in the present day of the MCU. Once they learn the Deviants products created by the Celestic are still on Earth, the Deviants routers come when the group become aware on a political level, events known as the emergency external ending reveals that the emergency is part of the classical overplan. A new classical has been growing inside Earth for multiple milestones, waiting for Earth population to become larger enough to be a necessary emergency source for the celestial. The emergency comes as a super pass to most external since a Jake. The emergency comes as a super passes to most external since a Jake kept their trio mission a secret them to all, except across as series across and Spirit travel the world beginning the external together for the first time in the nearly 2000 years. That is when their true purpose, across killing a Ajak and much more, comes to light. How Thanos is connected to the external story and special explaining. All of this allows Marvel to push external towards a massive ending. The team become David as series players with them to help. All of this allow Marvel to push external towards a massive ending. The team become divided as series players with them to all stop this emergency and have humanity still. Ikras is prepared to let Earth destroy since it meant the plastical will create other new planets, civilizations, and billions of life, while Kingo Kumal sits out these events and Glishmarts did before this left Cersei. Patos during and Makari to try to stop the emergency and avoid Ikras and Spirit. Ultimately, external ending shows Cersei and team the humanity but the follow out of these. Emergency and avoid Ikras and Sprite. Ultimately, externals ending show Cersei and team save humanity, but Shida follow out of this event result in some big MCU. Is Ikras really dead at the end of external? External Chalifer ending including what appears to the Ikras death, but is Richard Madden characters really gone? Once he realizes he can't go through with the killing Cersei to stop her from preventing Timur's emergency crash fell into space and heads stay right for the sun. External ending cuts away for him before his fairy death is expanding show, which leave his MCU fate Amigone for what it's worth. It seems that the external believe that the grass is dead, as Kingo say it's a. However, it is unclear how they would know of that fact. The other external could not since a Jake death, so that should not be able to do that. For Ikras, the one Kevin the needs to be considered is that Cersei is now the prime external, so she might have a stronger connection to the other external and know that the Ikras died. Ikras flying into the sun is Marvel way of reflecting lectures Taylor from Greek mythology, which external explaining was a story spirit invented. The reference to this story makes sense, but Marvel and Zhao deprecated Chow to leave across features unclear as the franchise progressed. This gives them greater flexibility with Richard Madden's MCU characters. He could not be dead and never seen again, or Ikras could not have survived somehow. Perhaps the external are powerful enough so to survive the sun heat, or Arishman managed to infect an Greek mythology, which external explained, was a story spirit invented. The reference to this story makes sense, but Marvel and Zahu deliberately chose to leave Icarus' fate unclear as the franchise progresses. This gives the greatest flexibility with Richard Madden's MCU characters. He could be dead and never seen again, or Icarus could have survived somehow. Perhaps the external are powerful enough to survive the sun heat, or Arishman managed to influence and take Icarus before they died. For now, it might be best to believe that Icarus is dead after external ending, even though Marvel could bring him back and down the road. Follow the external decision to go against Arishman plan and save humanity. The group is divided by time of external ending. The final new minutes of the movie show Makari during and Thana leave Earth on Demo's speech to find other external. They are determined to search the galaxy for more of their kind and tell them the truth about the Celestic and the Shane's tunnel purpose when they go to the different worlds. External post-credit scenes show that it takes them 4 weeks before they in coverage anyone knew. As for the rest of externals, everyone else remains on Earth for the times, or is that the Intelli says Cersei returned to London. Kango agreed to help Cersei separate and Patos and his family move to a Jake ranch. However, Cersei, Kingo and Patos are then educated by Ashman when the Celestial make a superhero try to Earth. Spirit is not taken because she is no longer an external, meaning she will be left with the king of people to grow up on her own. Meanwhile, Glishman and Ajak are still dead after external ending, and Ikraz might be also. Once Arishman appearance in external ending, he reveals that he taking Cersei, Patos and Kingo with him. Their destination is likely the word forger. Word forgy is also whenever Arishman store all of the externals memories for their previous mission he decide he taken series Patos and Kingo while him to examine their memories. Arrangement is energy that they defined orders and stopped remote emergency. So he want to know why and if what was the right decision. He tells them that he will now study their memories from their time on earth to depend if the external made the right call by lettering humanity life if erasement their time on earth to dominate if the external made the right call by lettering humanity life. If Arishim does not like what he sees, though he will return to earth and judge the plant. Dana Whiteman plan Black Knight, Futures and Blade, MCU introduce explain. The taste of the MCU features in external continue with the film post-credit scenes. The last scene confirmed that Dana Whiteman determined if their external made the right call by lettering humanity life. If Arishman does not like what he sees, though, he will return to Earth and judge the plan. Dinah Whiteman plans Black Kingo features and Blade MCU introduce explain. The test of MCU features is external continue with the film post-credit scene. The taste of the MCU features in external continue with the film post-credit scene. The last scene confirmed that Dana Whiteman has a bright future in the shared universe after having only a small role in the movie itself. External post-credit scene showed an achievement Ebony Blade, after watching Cersei mythology, vanished Dana, previous traced his family, complicated past and was about to tell Cersei all about it before she disappointed. Now it appears that Dana is planning to use the power of the Ebony Blade to try and find a way to rescue Cersei. But he did not escape was to hear the voice of Blade, Marshal Ali asking him if he ready to pick up the mighty. If he ready to pick up the mighty sword to become Black Knight and live with everything that comes with the title. The sword itself criticized the message that is the reward which linked to the blade blood history. It can't cut almost anything but corrupt the user over time, a fate that happened to many visions of Black Knight over the cenigrative that whatever that what in the store for Harridan Dinah Whiteman remains to be seen. After such an exciting tease for Kit Harington MCU feature, it is currently uncomfortably where he will appear next. However, external post-credit scene features that supervises first place of Marshall Ali Dave Walker could mean that a role in Blade is. After such an executed tease for Kit Harington MCU feature, it is currently unfortunately where he will appear next. However, external post credit scene features the superpass first taste of Marshall Ali. Dave Walker could not mean that a role in Blade is on the horizon. Marvel rarely features a taste like this. So Black Knight Return could not sum in Blade, which is widely believed to hit theaters in either 2023 or 2024. It played solo movie is not where Kit Harington returns them. It's possible that Black Knight next appearance could come in external to a Spine for Destiny Plus show or even Moon Knight. Harry Styles Star Fox Thanos brother in external credit explaining. External mid-credit scene also included another significant new MCU characters introduced as Harry Styles' appearance as Eros asks Sir Fox, the brother of Thanos and Prince of Tiana. His debut comes as the mid-credit scenes show Thena. External mid-credit scenes also included an other significant new MCU characters introduced as Harry Styles' appearance as Eros Akasar Fox, the brother of Thanos and Prince of Tiana. His debut comes as the mid-credit scenes shows Thana during and Makari flying through space on the demo. Makari is confused why they won't have heard for the external for a week now. Thana and Makari then hear a stranger noises on the ship as a portal opens up and Pip the troll, voiced by Porton Oswald, comes stumbling out. Pip immediately introduces his powerful partner in the fighting comic crime and uses his telephone power to bring Sir Fix to ship. Star Force explaining that he knows where the other externals are. Knows where the other externals are and wants to help Thana, Makari and During find them. Know where the other external are and wants to help Thana, Makari and During find them. All thought Harry Styles MCU debut as Sir Fox as was leaking after external premiere. He is still a massive character to join the MCU at this stage. His first appearance in the Marvel comic come in 1972 and Eros is internally different in the priority from his brother Thanos. Star Fox is a charismatic womanizer who spent much of his younger days traveling the galaxy searching for fun and love. He went on help the Avengers fight Thanos and even join Earth Might Horse, which is where the suffix name originated. Now that Harry Styles is play Eros in the MCU, he might not get the searching for fun and love, he went on the help to Avengers fight Thanos and even join Earth Might Heroes, which is where the Star Fox name originated. Now that Harry Styles is playing Eros in the MCU. He might not get the chance to battle Thanos, but he should have an important role to play as the shared universe continue. Ebony Blade, the sword at the end of External Explain. External ending shows the mysterious Ebon plane found by the Black Knight, Dana Whiteman. The sword itself possesses magical powers. Not only can be Ebony Blade cut through just about anything, but it also deflected most magical attacks, provide doorway between dimensions and has limited telephone ability. That sword and its holder had a special bond and the characters Merlin intending it to be that way. Whether of the Aliboni blade cannot be damaged by their own weapon. In addition, one in possession of the sword cannot be killed while holding it, only injured. The blade encases its user in powerful black armor that also has sword fight capability. The connection is double-edged sword. Anyone using the blade with massive instinct can actually taint the ebony blade powers. If, for example, someone kills another, the sword will develop a taste for blood in turn. It will influence its master in a sunset wall to keep on the killing until the weather become a cold blood murder seeking only run. The ebony blade was forged by Meritin and Sir Previsel and made from the debut around whether the sword is technically good or evil hues in the balance. The sword was encouraged to cut through any object to substance in the path. The debut around whether the sword is technically good or evil hangs in the balance, as the wider can corrupt and be corrupted through the ebony blade. The blade creates a cross that will eventually turn the user into a blizzard if enough blood is shed. It will be interesting to be see Dana Whiteman transformation into the Black Knight and how to chosen to use the ebony blade throughout. The latest MCU Disney Plus series, Moon Knight and the movie External might be connected through an important part of Mars Spectre Stephen Grant backstory. In the show Moon Knight, Spartan Grant Alter is a museum involvement in the access to countless Egyptian artificial. When Stephen got to London National Galaxy, he actually within the close tension of series workplace and the location where Dana Whiteman find the ebony world. As a museum worker, he will likely encounter or have uncomfortable in the past external Cersei or Dinah as a protective museum here would need experience before being explored by London National Galaxy. And where better to generate that experience that Cersei workplace, the National History Museum. And emulate in light of the discovery of this ebony blade, he might create something great to the help with the artifact. Either way, external ending open up the possibility for more stupor to appearance within the universe. The two also have theoretical connection, such as working against the gods with. When will the externals return MCU sequel Avengers 5 or spite off? Marvel used the last moment of external ending and credit to the confirm that the external will return, but where this will happen is confirmed. Multiple products could not be the answer to when they will next appear. Marvel Studio has not announced external 2 yet, and some have developed whenever it is necessary. However, external ending make it clear that a sequel is needed to continue the story and play of these days. These characters could be held out of the MCU until Avengers 5, as the next team up movie could deal with the arrangement return to the Earth if External 2 does not happen. Otherwise, Marvel could decide to make multiple Snap 4 featuring characters could not be held out of the MCU until Avengers 5, as the next team up movie could deal with the arrangement return to Earth if External 2 does not happen. Otherwise, Marvel could decide to make multiple Snap 4 featuring the External. This could include one character around Arrow and the External on the demo, and other based around the groupie arrangement took. What External ending really means. External ending also tie together the movie overall themes debut humanity. All thought the external are artificially created beings made by emotional and conflicting feeling about humanity overall tragedy and purpose. During want to use his power to stop human from hurting each other. While Patos give up hope and humans for a time before finding the good in them again. Meanwhile, Cersei has always seen the best in them, and Ikras routinely tried to distance himself for them and their eventually destination. The varying travel of faith they had in the goodness of humans, and what the external should do with their power to help or inflict it in human choices. Originally is what divided the Originally is what divided the group. In the end, even Ikras managed to show that this feeling for the other external, especially Cersei, were genuine and that he did not hate the human experience as much as he let on. Humans are for crack Humans are for perfect, but the external learn. Humans are for perfect, but the external learn that they have two flaws and could not learn from their failure just like humanity had the right to do. It's only after coming to such a realization that the interior team could come together in external ending and giving humanity a longer lifespan. External on Destiny Plus ending expanding an MCU connection. With Marvel External now available on Destiny Plus, whether you are watching it for the first time or the 100th, there is so much to take in debut this MCU story that spends thousands and thousands of the year to help those who have yet to see it as well as those who are still trying to process that happened to external. We have to try to answer all that biggest question for the movie as well as though the events of the film could not play into the future from the movie as well as how the events of the film could not play from the movie as well as how the events of the movie could not play into future Marvel movie. We dive deep into some of its biggest reveals, the film ending and post-credit scenes, and so much more. External review. How can I watch external and it is? How long is external? When did external premiere in theaters? Where is the MCU timeline? Does external take place? What is external about? The Deviants external villains explain. Who are Arishman, Timot, and the Celestial? Ending of the external explaining. Does externals have post-credit scenes? Wo voice was in external post-credit scene and was it? Wo are Arishman, Timion and the celestic ending of external expanding? Does external have post? Wo was what is external post credit scene and was it played external after credit scene? Expanding Wo is Harry Styles. External characters Eros, Star Fox. Oswald external characters Peep the Troll. Dinah Whiteman is external and is he the Black Knight. Wo does Bill Skarsgård play in the external? Wo is pattern over all external characters Peep the Troll. Wo is Kit Harington? Dana Whiteman is external and is he the Black Knight? Why does Bill Sheard play in the external? Who dies in external was event sex scenes, the first one in the MCU. What was the inspire behind the external comic? Marvel external exclusive deleted scenes show more of the Don Whiteman and Spirit external trailer and features. In out external review, we said external is huge. Cultures both of the story and a whole team of vastly different heroes are connected into a visually stunning and impacted attached film. The relationship of these complicated characters keep as fresh as they can, but the story gets uniquely but is shipped into a comic scale. Had it kept the narrative closer to home, it would have played better as a stand-alone film, but it would not have felt like the grand external introduced into the MCU and Tate the Bean scene. Director Chloé Zhao was met an impossible challenger that she looked on with grace, skill and her trademark jaw-dropping scenes. How can watch External and is on Destiny Plus? External is currently available on Destiny Plus to all subscribers to all extra cost and other digital platform. It will become available on 4K Blue